The Sargent Shriver Award for Distinguished Humanitarian Service is awarded annually by NPCA to a returned Peace Corps volunteer who continues to make a sustained and distinguished contribution to humanitarian causes at home or abroad, or is an innovative social entrepreneur who brings about significant long-term change. The award is named in honor of the tremendous contributions of the first Peace Corps director, Sargent Shriver. It is the highest honor bestowed upon an RPCV by the NPCA. We are so pleased to welcome Sarge's grandson, Teddy Shriver, to announce and congratulate the 2021 recipient. Teddy served as a water and sanitation volunteer in Peru from 2011 to 2013. He's currently Deputy Director with Best Buddies International. Over to you, Teddy.
First, I'd like to say thank you to Anne and the entire NPCA for putting on this Peace Corps Connect conference and committing themselves to carrying out my grandfather's legacy after their service. I know the work put in by Anne and her team probably doesn't get the credit that it's due, so to them I say thank you. Now, for the Sargent Shriver Award for Distinguished Humanitarian Service, I'm humbled to have been asked to serve on this committee once again. There are plenty of qualified RPCVs that could serve on the committee, and I realize that my position is one of ceremony, but one I am honored to hold. As is true with the committee, there were no shortage of overqualified candidates to receive this award. The deliberation takes time, and each committee member brings a different perspective to the selection process, and I appreciate them all for participating. For me, this award, and for that matter the Peace Corps, was and always has been about personal human connection. It's about bridging the gap between cultures so that we might all get a little closer. It's about understanding and empathy. My grandfather, Sargent Shriver, was a people person. For anyone that was fortunate enough to meet him or be close to him, you know he was a warm and welcoming man. Some might call him a charmer, but more so, he was genuinely interested in people. To this day, years after his passing, there's a hardware store I visit in the summer, which he and I used to visit together, and there wasn't a time that I visited since then when someone working in the store didn't mention how much they miss my grandfather. For those in the know, there are countless other interactions and stories to this same theme. His joy brought them joy, but most importantly, he left them feeling seen and appreciated. Unfortunately, I have not met our winner in person, but I can assure you she is carrying on the tradition of bringing the same joy to people's lives. Based on the application we received, it is clear she has committed her life to service beyond that of her Peace Corps calling. Her connection to her community is obviously displayed in the testimonials, images, and videos of her work. The Global Seed Savers organization is empowering people of the Philippines and committed to building hunger-free and healthy communities with access to sustainable farmer produce, food, and seeds. Her on-the-ground presence plays a huge role in this success, and these endeavors are always a team effort, but they must be led by an individual. I'm honored to present Sherry Manning with the Sargent Shriver Award for Distinguished Humanitarian Service. Congratulations, Sherry.
Thank you, Teddy, the Shriver family, and the National Peace Corps Association for this tremendous honor. I'm very humbled to be recognized in this way, and most importantly, for our critical work at Global Seed Savers and the entire GSS team to be honored. It takes many hands and hearts for our work to flourish, and it's an honor to be building this organization with our Filipino leadership, many of which I think are on the call, our boards, our community partners, and most importantly, the passionate farmers that we work with. This award is for them. The tradition and practice of saving seeds is deeply rooted in the land and in the people and communities that steward and share seed and its stories. I want to acknowledge the land and history of the rightful stewards of where I'm sitting today in Denver, Colorado. The Cheyenne and Arapaho people, as well as 48 indigenous tribes and nations, call Colorado home. In addition, Global Seed Savers is honored to work side by side with many of the 110 ethno-linguistic indigenous peoples groups and non-indigenous peoples of the Philippines, who despite years of colonization and structural oppression that continue to this day, remain steadfast in their resistance and commitment to keeping their cultural traditions, languages, and practices alive. Seed saving is one piece of this continued struggle. 15 years ago, back when you didn't get to apply to a specific country for the Peace Corps, I was fortunate to be assigned in the Philippines and the quiet and peaceful municipality of Tublay Benguet. It's there that I spent 2.5 years living and learning and working side by side with my host family, the Cosalans, on their ancestral land. This is where the seeds of what is now Global Seed Savers began to germinate. And I always like to say that the Philippines chose me because it is truly a second home and an honor to be building this collaborative work with so many of our Filipino partners around the 7,000 islands. Some of you might not know this, but the Philippines is the most climate vulnerable nation in the world. On average, around 20 typhoons hammer the islands each year. In addition, the majority of the country is considered agricultural land, but the influx of GMOs, chemical farming, and monoculture is causing great stresses on the food supply. And the pandemic has only highlighted these challenges. However, we at Global Seed Savers feel the last year has only re-emboldened our mission and vision. Hunger-free and healthy communities with access to sustainable farmer-produced seeds and food. Core to these beliefs for us is food sovereignty and seed sovereignty. Food sovereignty thinks about the entire supply chain, from seed to table. And it makes sure that farmers are the ones in the driver's seat, making the decisions about what they grow and how they grow it. In addition, seed sovereignty is all about restoring our connections to seed. Seed is the most beautiful self-replicating system we have. Seeds are actually designed to withstand challenges and become more adapted when they're planted time and time again in the same place. However, in the last 30 years, as agrochemical companies have taken over our food and seed systems, this tradition to growing our own seed is being lost. Our current times have shown us that we need to return to a more sustainable agriculture system. Seed saving is one piece of this, and we're proud to be making it happen in the Philippines. So what started with one family farm has grown into a nationwide movement with communities across the Philippines growing their own food and ending their dependence on these unsustainable practices. By restoring this traditional wisdom, the power of our food system is being returned to community. Since 2015, GSS is really proud to say that we've trained over 5,000 people in seed saving. We've launched 3 community seed libraries and 3 others that are being locally led. Our work has grown from Tublay Benguet, my Peace Corps community, to regions throughout the country. And just this last year, we launched a 1,200 square meter seed production area in northern Cebu. And we have found that access to local seed saves our farmers more than 10% of their annual income. This is a tremendous savings. However, more than our numbers, our work is about slow, steady change for communities. It is about restoring relationships to the land, to the seed, to culture, to each other. It is about remembering our interconnectedness. So as I close, I want to share a couple of stories with their permission of our farmers to kind of paint a picture for you of what the impact our work has. In 2018, Typhoon Ompong hammered the northern Philippines, and all of our founding partners were impacted. Crop damage, land issues, all of that. However, our founding seed library remained intact. And just days after the storm, all of our farmers were able to go and access seed from the library. Seed that they knew they had grown, seed that they knew would adapt, and seed that they were in charge of. They didn't have to wait for outside assistance, but they had a local community source. In addition, one of our farmers, Manang Elizabeth, lost her land due to a landslide that was triggered by the storm. After that, she was pretty worried about her future. But just months after the storm, we were able to offer her a position at Global Seed Savers to become our farm inspector and help continue to share her knowledge with the rest of our community. Also, we just recently held a meeting with our bass farmers to really have some time together to assess the impacts of the pandemic. And one quote that one of the farmers shared is super poignant. The farmer said, "However difficult the pandemic was, there were some good things that came from it. One is that our children realized the value of our work as farmers." So we talk about seeds, we talk about planting, we talk about food, but really the change that we are a part of at Global Seed Savers is these attitude changes, is these values changes, is helping farmers remember the important role that they play in society. So we cannot separate culture and identity from the art, act, and love of growing food. Seed saving is an essential piece of this knowledge. And in order to build a resilient food system in these ever-changing times, we have to return to this wisdom. I hope that you will join us by becoming a donor, supporting our work, maybe planting a seed yourself, and most importantly, thinking twice about where your food comes from and where your seeds come from. We all have a role to play in building back a better food system, and we're incredibly honored to have this award tonight. Thank you again for this honor and recognition. Maraming salamat and seed onward.